Okay, welcome everyone. We are recording this session. We wanted to make all of the workshops available for folks who were able to attend and for those who might be attending other workshops and wanted to watch these later. So I see quite a few friendly faces from the high school and throughout the district. So welcome back. It's great to see everyone. If you would like, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you have a question. Hey, Jill, welcome. Welcome aboard. So again, if you would like to, hey, Jill, hello. If you would like to unmute yourself at any time during the presentation, feel free. My dogs may start barking in the background since they probably don't recognize your voice, but hopefully they'll keep sleeping. They're nice and comfy here. So what I'm going to do is invite anyone who would like to click up here in the upper right-hand corner at the top of your screen. There's a little chat box. So when you click on that, you're welcome to type in any questions. And this is a relatively small group. There are only 14 of us. So you're more than welcome to unmute and ask a question if you like. I'm totally fine with that. The last group I did was over 40 and it got a little crazy. But under 15 is nice and small. So feel free to unmute if you'd like. So again, if you'd like, feel free to text a question. Oops. Let's spell it properly. All right. So you are welcome to type anything, hit the little paper airplane. It'll pop right up top. I have two computers going, so I could read the questions on one screen and so that I can make this screen bigger. Or if I miss your question, feel free to wave to get my attention. Okay, a couple of things I would like to share with you. First, I'd like to show you all where you can find the recorded version of this at the end of the session, in addition to all of the other recordings of all the other workshops we've been offering since April. So to do that, what you would click on is you would go to your school website, and I'll go to the high school, and it's also on the district website too. So that's another option. This link is on all of the district-wide sites. You would click on Distance Learning Resources, and you will click on the Teacher tab in the far right-hand corner up top, and then scroll down. We have some videos, other articles on various Google apps, other programs, Flipgrid, etc., Newsela. I know that some of you attended the Newsela workshop. We have other resources, and below that under professional development, we're going to put links to all of the videos. So if you wanted to attend another workshop and this one, so you signed up for this one, you want to see what you missed going on another workshop, you're always welcome to click on the video and watch it. So we've got quite a nice collection here. And below that, we have an internet topic directory for teachers, professional development webpage, and also tech tips and tools. So I'm starting to gather some handy tech tips and tools that if anybody might be interested in making a recommendation, feel free. We're getting a nice list there. So that is where you can access the resources. And lastly, we would really love your feedback. I would like your feedback as a presenter. So we would also, though, I'm also one of the professional development coordinators for the district, and we would love to know, we have one more PD day left, and we would love to know what you would suggest that we offer, because we want to help support your distance learning and teaching adventures. So we're looking for some ideas. So feel free to fill in that workshop, the evaluation form. Just click on that email I sent you originally this morning, and we'll be good to go. The first thing I'd like to share with you before we jump into some resources to help our struggling readers. I did a workshop last week on turning PDFs into worksheets. And one of the teachers there said this was really helpful because I have a couple of struggling readers that would find this really handy. I didn't get a chance to upload all of my my PDFs and worksheets for my students to work on online. So I'd love to take like a minute or two and just show you that because it's a pretty handy resource. And interestingly enough, the way we do this is through through Google Slides, and we could upload it to Classroom. So I'm going to open a new presentation. So let's say we wanted to include a graphic organizer for our students to work with. The default for Google Slide is horizontal. The aspect ratio is horizontal. So we're going to change that. We are going to click on File. We're going to slide down to Page Setup. And instead of a 16:9 aspect ratio widescreen, I'm going to select Custom. And now I'm going to hit Apply. And it should change that. Did I not put the right? Hang on a sec. Maybe I didn't hit save. I'm using a different laptop, and I'm not quite. It's a little sticky. So let me go back to custom again. Change this. I thought I preset it to 8.5 by 11. I guess not. So we'll change that again. Now this is going to be 8.5 by 11. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I didn't hit apply. So we have a vertically aligned portrait view of this sheet. So I'm going to remove the text boxes on this worksheet. Just get rid of that, add the other one. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to upload our graphic organizer. So to do that, I'm going to go to, now here's the trick. Normally, you would assume you would insert it as an image, but we're not. We're going to upload the background. We're going to choose image. And we're going to grab our worksheet. It could be a PDF. It could be an image. And I started saving some images in a folder on my drive called Worksheets. Here we go. Oh, went a little too far. Sorry about that. Here we go. So let's say we wanted to use this worksheet for our students. Now, once it appears, we just hit done. Now I'm going to make a little room here on my screen so you could see this a little more easily. I'm going to enlarge the view, zoom in to 50. All right, now watch how cool this is. So again, we uploaded this image as a background, right? So that this image won't move around. But here's where it becomes magical. We're going to turn this image or PDF into a worksheet by simply creating some text boxes. So maybe we wanted our struggling readers to have this graphic organizer ready. And we didn't have the chance to digitize it or scan it at work. So we're going to do it now. We're going to just change this PDF and or image into a worksheet. I'm simply adding text boxes here. There we go. Now we need one more. Scroll down a little bit and one more text box. Now watch how cool this is. All right, I'm going to save this presentation as writing graphic organizer. G-O. Okay. So we've got that there. We've named it. Now what I'm going to do is open Classroom. And I'm simply going to upload that. Now, you do have to do one other thing, which you probably already know about. So let's say I want to add this to my book club. All you would do is create a new class assignment. And graphic organizer. Okay, oops, I'll spell it right. Here we go. Complete by Wednesday. And maybe we wanted them to read an article and create the graphic organizer, complete it. So I just attach it. It's probably in my recent because it's the last thing I worked on. And there it is. Now, before we do anything else, it's really important that you make sure that normally when you upload this, it defaults to students can view the file. But even though we made text boxes on there, unless we make a copy for each student or allow students to edit the file, they won't be able to edit it. So if you, as you know, if you select students can edit a file, they would all edit the same file if we selected this, but we want to make a copy for each student. And then we'll hit assign. So they will simply then, once this is assigned, click on this. Sorry, it's taking so long. They would just click on that worksheet. There it is. And then they could start taking notes as they read their sheets. Okay, here we go. Great. Now you'll notice when I open it, the text boxes are just right in there and I can start typing away. Okay, so that was that in a nutshell. Before I go on, are there any questions about what we just did that may or may not be helpful? But the last workshop I did, somebody said, oh, sorry, that was my earlier one. Can I repeat that? Okay, great. So I'm assuming everybody caught that. All right. This is just a real nutshell of how to create worksheets out of maybe PDFs or files that you didn't yet get a chance to either convert to Word or upload. So I just wanted to share that, kind of like a little mini commercial break. So if you want to see that, it's actually on the digital resources for teachers page. And it is called Turning PDFs and Images into Editable Worksheets. All right, cool. Now, let's go back in. So a couple of things we can talk about today. I know that some of you attended the Newsela workshop, which is phenomenal. I'm going to recommend that we actually get Newsela at the high school. So I know that if we could actually just see a show of hands, let me get everyone in the view. How many of you are at the middle school and how many? Okay, let's see how many of you are at the high school first. We could just get an idea. Okay, so the majority of us are at I know Sandy's at the high school. Okay, so there's some of us at the middle school too. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to share the resources from the high school first, and I'm going to focus primarily on resources that I know you guys already have at the middle school too. And lastly, I want to share with you a really amazing extension that the district has limited licensing for, and it's through the special ed department. It's called Read and Write for Google. It's an extension, and it is phenomenal. So we're going to end with that. So again, I'll keep checking back here on our chat to see if anybody has any questions. So feel free to either unmute and ask or jot them down right there. Okay, so from our high school website, there are a number of resources that students can access. Oh, actually, one more question. If I could get an idea, if you could just jot in, I know what particular resources that students have been using, but if you have any particular resources, maybe you have a student that's struggling to find a book. Maybe their English teacher assigned them a free read and they're not quite sure how to find a book on our catalog that is available online. Obviously, the libraries are closed throughout the schools. So if you'd like to know how to show them how to use Overdrive, just type that in here because I want to customize this. I know we have a wide range of roles here. So just please give me an idea of anything in particular that you're looking for. I can show you how to access Overdrive in case you're trying to help your students. I could show you the databases, but I want to make this as relevant for as many people as possible. I know we're trying to cover a few bases here. So just throw out any questions right here and I'll keep checking back or unmute and ask. Okay, so let me just go through when we are researching at the high school. We have a number of resources. Frequently, teachers will ask us to put resource lists together, and we're very happy to do that. And we will access or list specific databases that we think would lend themselves well to the particular project. So sometimes kids will just go here, and again, I know this is something that the middle school does have. So we're going to go to more databases. Okay, I'm sorry for the delay. It's for some reason my Chromebook is slower than my regular notebook, but in order to show you read and write, I have to show it to you on the Chromebook. So we all have access to Britannica. The middle school has it and the high school has it. Now, what I especially love about Britannica is it is really nice with respect to reading levels. The username and password, you would have to enter that in if you were accessing it off site. So for those of you who are from the middle school, you would just type in your middle school ID and username and password, and I'll do the high school. And we'll just sign in. All right, so here we are. Now, let me share with you a couple of things. Under Britannica resources, we have School Edition and Image Quest. Now, Image Quest is really handy for kids maybe who are easily distracted, and maybe their social studies teacher wanted them to find some images of the French Revolution or the Great Depression. This is incredibly helpful, sending them here rather than sending them to Google because it's so easy for them to get distracted. So again, let's say we're doing the Great Depression and they find an image they like. And obviously you can search for anything up here, but since we're on the Great Depression, we'll just go with this. Now, what I really like about this is, well, it pulled up family, but here's our image. What I especially like about this is kids really struggle citing sources. So if we wanted to include this image, the migrant mother, which was from the Great Depression, in our project, but we we're not that familiar with Noodle tools. Maybe we're 8th graders just going into the high school and we're a little rusty with Noodle tools and we're afraid to ask our teacher. This is an incredible tool because it already cites the image and all the articles for them right from the go. So they could just highlight this and copy it right into either Noodle Tools or directly onto their works cited page of their either research paper or their Google slide, whatever they're using it for. So that's Image Quest. And again, I especially like that it helps more distractible students stay focused rather than getting lost or, down that rabbit hole of the internet or Google at large. School Edition is really helpful. Now, this breaks it down into levels. So elementary is going to look very different, obviously, from high school. There's more user face, it's more graphically easy to use, larger buttons for the little ones. But we may be dealing with a high school student that is just reading at a really low level. So we may want to select the middle school. So Britannica is not just encyclopedia articles. They also have links to websites, and they also have links to newspaper and magazine articles too. So, and images and videos as well, world atlases, comparison of countries. And I like this for more distractible students because it's not as busy as, the internet at large. A lot of the databases we have at the high school are not really that user friendly. They're a little cut and dry. They may be too word intense, too much reading, large articles. This breaks it down into bite-sized chunks, and then you can just search for your articles from here. Oops, sorry about that. Another thing I want to share with you is, let's just pull up an article, and you'll see how user-friendly this is. Let's go with the Great Depression. And it recommends some articles. Now, again, we have lesson plans for teachers. We have primary source materials, websites, whatever. So it's giving the kids a broad range of topics and certainly search formats and mediums, magazines, etc. But it keeps them off the internet world. They get very distracted. So let's say we wanted an article. Let's grab an article. We can just click right on this one. All right. Now, we have a couple of things. We can translate this article for our EL students. We could actually have this article
the decade-long economic depression that
read to
began
the
with
students.
1929 stock market crash had a profound influence on American arts and literature.
Okay, that's somewhat helpful. We can actually increase the font size. We can decrease the font size. We can cite the article. Very simple, just as if we were citing an image. It's right there. Copy and paste it. So they would be good to go. So this would be my recommendation for general information. But again, it's not just encyclopedia articles. There's some really great stuff here. We can also select the reading level here, which is what I like. We are set at middle school. So this is another, I mean, it's a little awkward if you were dealing with a high school student that was really reading at a third grade level. You don't want them to have to go to the elementary level. So this could be a little touchy if you really had to bring that level down. For something like that, I would recommend Newsela because you can select by Lexile level. Okay, so this is Britannica. It's incredibly user-friendly and helps kids stay focused. They're not all over the page there. So what I'd like to do now is jump to some of the other resources we'll have at the high school. I'm sorry, this is something else they have at the middle school. It's called Research at CT. Sorry, I do want to point this out too. This is quite helpful. Now, Research at CT also breaks it down by level. They use this for the public libraries, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. So you have a nice range here as well. And you can do a power search right here of all of the resources, or you could filter it by specific search engine within. Okay, so this is run by the Connecticut State Library. You would have to enter your library card. So you'd have to tell your students if they were using this to use their public library card. When we're using this from school, we can just type in our username and password, but from off-site use, you are required to use your public library card. Okay, now, in addition to that, I want to point out Gale. Gale is really helpful and it's fully integrated with Google Classroom. So let's go there real quick. Let's back up a bit. Here we go. Okay. Oh, you know what? Another great one. Issues and Controversy series has a great section on lower level articles for kids. And I want to point this out too. The username and password is the same for all of the other high school databases. And I'm not sure if this is in the middle school collection or not, but let's just type in maybe ocean pollution. And we can also do an advanced search. Let's try that. Frequently, students don't do advanced searches and they end up either too broad or too narrow. So let's go with maybe pollution, plastic. Let's try that. All right, perfect. Ocean pollution and plastic, excellent. However, this article is very old. So in advanced search, we can sort by category or title. We can add some filters. We can add a topic filter, timelines, so you can narrow it down by that. Depending on what the student was using, this may be a little too dated. So in advanced search, we could narrow that down. Yeah, I'm guessing this is really quite old. We should be able to sort by date, but unfortunately this one isn't letting us. So let's back up a bit. Sort by date should be right here, and unfortunately it isn't. I'm not quite sure why. It does at the school. So let's see how old this one is. Now, again, this one is pretty handy because you can listen to it right here. You can translate it, and there are quite a few languages here. So it's quite neat. Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Arabic, etc. You could save it. You could save it to your drive. I tell students this quite frequently. What's nice about this is they can save this article to their Google Drive, and then they could work with it as a document, or they could save it directly to Classroom, and then they can highlight, take notes. Maybe this is something we wanted them to work with, that graphic organizer, to take notes on that. So we would save it to Google Drive, and then they would be all set. And it cites the image too. I'm sorry, it cites the article too for you. So that would be in there. So this is further reading. Okay, so this is 2020. So this is a nice current article. And oh, another thing I want to point out, I have to quite frequently remind students to be sure they select MLA. It doesn't always default to MLA. I set my computer to default to MLA. So that is something that might confuse them as well. Okay, so again, this is quite handy. Our keywords are in yellow. We have the option to play it, to read it, have it read or translated, which is quite helpful. So that's another way of helping kids. Let's see if there are any. Okay, and here's the Spanish. It takes a little while. So let's see if we have any questions. No questions. Okay. Really, feel free if there's anything particular you want me to focus on. So let's go
Can I
back.
just interrupt for a second? I did have a question, Liza.
Sure. So sorry. Yes.
I guess I must not have worded it. I see it on my end in the text box, but maybe I didn't hit enter. But I was wondering, I noticed when you played the article, we were able to hear it on our end in the Google Meet. Did you have to do something so we could hear that article on your end? Because I have tried to play from my computer for the students who are in the Google Meet, but then they can't hear. Do I have to add an extension, or did you do something on your end so we were able to hear that article?
I did not.
Oh,
I did not. I'm wondering, I just hit play. So I'm not quite sure. I'm sorry. What do you recall what specific resource you were using?
Well, even just a YouTube video, like I've tried with some of my students to play it video, and then but that doesn't work.
Yeah, for some reason, another teacher mentioned having the same problem. I'm not quite sure why that is happening. It might be because the internal mic on your machine is dedicated, and it's not taking in it's taking in the microphone of you speaking, but it's not playing the sound. So I'm wondering, let me just, if folks don't mind, I'd like to just try that right now to see if I could get something to play for you. So let me see. Let's try this. Let me open a new window. Can you hear this?
So we can get into an actual article and start.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So what I'm thinking is, Jill, it might be copyright protected. I'm not quite sure. That might be something you want to look into, but try exploring. And what I would certainly recommend is if you plan on showing something, to test it before you try it, because some work and some don't. Because I asked this particular teacher who had the question in my Google Meet, I think it was 2 Fridays ago, why did it work with all videos or some? And she said it's only some that wouldn't play. So not quite sure, but this should work. And if you weren't in a Google Meet with students, it should work for them directly. They may need headphones depending on what kind of device they're using, but it's a really nice tool. I just want to show you one cool thing with the Gale databases and the integration with Google Apps. And then I want to jump to Read Write, because that is pretty special. I think that would help a lot of you. I hope that answered your question. But yeah, okay, thanks. All right, I'm sorry I missed that question there. Normally it gives me a number of how many questions I have, so I'm just going to leave this question panel up. All right, let's jump over to Gale databases. So we are going to scroll back up to resources, Gale databases. So let's say we were doing an article, we had to pick a president, and we would have to sign in because we're accessing off campus. Type in my username. Now, a lot of kids don't remember. I know we cover this in freshman seminar, but let me show you all this. At the very top of the screen, there is a sign in with Google tab. Click on that, and they are welcome to search. So now I'm here. It gives you a couple of highlights. It breaks it down into categories. Again, we're in the biography database. And I'm going to type in Lincoln. So as soon as I type in Abraham, it pulls up a lot of people. I could scroll down or I could keep on typing, and there's Abraham Lincoln. Great. Now, we are signed in through Google. Now, this is what's so neat about this Google integration. I'm signed in as Lisa. Now, with that, I have a number of really handy tools here. So what I'm going to do is pull up my article. Okay. It gives me a very brief synopsis of the article, usually with a picture and some statistics below. Now, in addition to that, and I'm constantly reminding kids because they frequently overlook this other great related resource portion of the page. We have reference book articles, additional biographies on Lincoln, images of Lincoln, and you would just click on that. We have videos, magazine articles, tons of stuff. And again, what I like about this, especially with kids who are very distractible, there's some great stuff right on here. You know, and even websites, magazine articles, newspaper articles, videos. And this is really, really helpful. So for now, I'll just go to an article. Let's say we wanted to look at an article. Featured content. So let's see. Now we have Lexile here. These Lexiles are a little high for some of our average readers. This is very brief. Could even be a book review. So let's look at primary sources. But this too gives you the Lexile level. So we scroll down. We have the year this article was published, overview, the word count. We can filter here. This is really helpful by Lexile. We can filter by publication date. And that's why I really prefer this one to the other database I showed you, because we couldn't filter it by publication date here for some reason. At school, we can. I can ask for a custom date range. Here, I could select whatever. I could do the past month, past week, past 3 years. Or we could do by Lexile, okay? So that is really helpful. Let's go back to biographies. Cancel. And let's filter by Lexile. Okay, let's see what we get with 5 to 700 Lexile. Okay, so super brief. This came from the Almanac of Famous People, which isn't real helpful. So sometimes they take it very literally. So let's go back. Let's try a Lexile measure that's a little longer, or click that off. It's a multiple choice, so you have to make sure to select what you want, what you really want. All right, let's apply that. Okay, now, that's very brief too. Let's go back. Let me just find an article because, oh, and audio too. There are audio files on here. I'm glad I stumbled upon this because I meant to mention this as well. So these are all audio files that students can listen to. And here, let's try this guy. This is a 760 Lexile level. Morning edition. So this came from, I'm assuming, NPR. Yep. And the citation information is all there too. And here we would play it. We would hit play. Let's see if you could hear it.
Who was John Wilkes Booth before he became Lincoln's assassin?
Okay, could you give me a thumbs up if you were able to hear that? Oh, awesome. Great. Okay. All right, now, sorry about that. All right, let me show you something really cool we could do with this. You can highlight and add notes right from the article. I could do a couple of things. I could download this directly to the computer. I could send it to my drive, which is great. So then students can have it in a folder on their drive. Maybe they're doing this for English class and they could set up folders. Or they could work right with the article and start highlighting it. Okay, so let me show you how that's going to work. All right, so who was John Wilkes Booth? Apparently, he was the first actor. Okay, well, that's an unusual factoid, but who knows? A student might find it handy. So we can highlight that. And when we highlight, we have a number of different colors. You may want to do the what questions in yellow, the when questions in green, or whatever. All right. So, or maybe we want to add a note to that. So let's add a note. His career or his profession. Actor. Okay, whatever. And then you could also look for definition, but I'm going to save that note. Okay, so this is actually an article. So his views, and he was sympathetic to the Confederates. Okay, so this might be, okay, so maybe you want to add another highlight, and maybe this is going to be points of view or opinions. Add a note, sided with the Confederacy, with the South. Okay, now watch this. When I'm done, maybe the bell's about to ring and I finish my assignment, you'll notice that my highlights are all here. So I have what I highlighted and what I wrote beside it. So I could save that to my drive and then that's good to go. Okay. Now it warns you, you've got to make sure you download it and send the highlights and notes to yourself before exiting the product, which is very important because in the past, students would exit and they would lose their stuff. And it was really frustrating, especially for a student maybe who was struggling and wasn't very patient. So those are some handy tools within Google apps that, oh, here's my number one. We got an indication. Sandy, can you put the citation in that annotation note? Very good question. Actually, what it does is it will save my notes. Did I close it out? I think I still have it open. If I save it, it puts the citation right in there. That's a great question. And I could go back in. Let's say I started this, but my teacher said, you know, this looks good, but give me some more information. Elaborate that on a little more. So I could go back, hit edit note, and add some more right then and there or the next day. But good question, Sandy. It does include automatically the citation there. Okay, great. Which is helpful because kids frequently, especially if they're in a rush, they forget to grab that. And a lot of the teachers hold them accountable for those citations. Okay, so we have about 20 minutes left. It's 1:40. I really want to actually devote the end of the remaining portion of the workshop to Google Read Write. How many, let me just close out some,
Did we lose her?
Thanks, Sandy. Let me share with you Google Read and Write. So this is an extension. How many of you, if you could just raise your hand, how many of you are familiar with Google Read Write? Maybe you've just heard about it, but you don't know how to use it yet? Okay. Oh, Sandy, you're already familiar with it. Oh, okay, great. I'm sorry if this is a repeat, but I'd like to share this with you because with everyone because I think you might find it handy. So if you know, I'm sure you probably know more about this than I do because you've probably been using it with kids. So just jump in if you feel like it. But I do want to share this because we had a request from 2 people that registered. So I want to cover it real quick in the remaining time we have. So let's jump to what I'm going to recommend. Now, we have a limited amount of licenses on with Google Read Write. So what I recommend we do is if you have it on your school, if you have your school machine and you already have it installed, great. You can download it for free. You can get the free version, which is pretty basic. And I actually think they'll give you the entire package for like a month. Because I had it preloaded on my school machine, but not my home machine. So you could probably do that. So let's do this. I am going to open up an article and I'm going to have this. Actually, let's go right back to that article I was just on a moment ago. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have deleted it. And I want this to read and write for you. You are really going to be impressed with this, I think. Lincoln. All right, let's look up Mary Todd. I just want a piece of text here that we can grab. Okay, this is perfect. We could just use this. Read more. Okay, here is a nice article on Mary Todd Lincoln. Now, what we're going to do, when you have Read Write installed, you'll notice it's on your toolbar, and it's a little purple puzzle piece with an RW on it. Now, when I click on that, I have
I'm sorry, Lisa, I cannot see it. I don't know if you presented or not.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry,
Thank
I
you.
did not present. Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate that. So sorry. All right, so let's present. Okay, this will just take a second to transmit my screen to you. Great. Let's see if there are any more questions while we're here. Thank you. Okay, good. Now, what we're going to do is we have our article up. Let's close that. Here is our article, and here are my tools above, right here. This is the Google Read Write toolbar. So this is quite neat. So the very basic part of this is the play, pause, and stop. So that's pretty obvious. We can just highlight what we wanted it to read for us and then hit play.
Lincoln, Mary Todd, Deck. 13, 1818, July 16, 1882. First Lady, wife of Abraham Lincoln, was born in Lexington.
Okay, let's just pause that. So it's actually a really nice, it's one of the better readers that I've heard of, quite frankly. It's not too automated or mechanical sounding. So that's a pretty nice feature. What I really, really like about this, and I saved the page, is it has a really handy list of tools here. But what I want to do, for some reason, and it is installed here, my tools disappeared. This happened earlier, and I do apologize. I'm not quite sure why they disappear, but let's click back on that. Well, that's really unfortunate because I had all of these tools available earlier. Let me get out of Gale. Maybe it's because of Gale that particular article isn't going to work. Let's use this. Let's hope I get my tools back. Okay, we're going to click it. There they are. Okay. So let me show you basically what these tools do. They're pretty neat. Now we have a dictionary, so we may not know what this word is. If we click on it, it's going to give us some information from a dictionary. The noun version, the verb version of research. You could select whatever you want to play. You just highlight and then hit play. I won't do that again because then I, for whatever reason, lost all my other options. This is pretty neat. If I wanted a picture of, in this case, students, I can highlight my word and just click picture. And it will give me a picture of students. So it's kind of like a little Pictionary there for kids. In addition to that, we have these two require additional extensions, which I don't want to talk about because I don't know if the extension required to use these has been approved. So I'm a little reluctant to recommend anything that has not been approved. We can look up the word, or let's try reading challenged on the internet. So obviously that's going to pull up a lot of stuff, reading challenges. So that'll bring you right to the internet. So we don't want to go there. Now, this is pretty nice. Maybe we have, again, a student who's very easily distracted, and we only want to highlight certain portions of the screen at a time. Maybe they were reading with us. We were sitting right beside them and they were reading. So this is a really nice little highlighting tool. Now, this is actually called screen masking. So if you wanted to make this a little bigger, maybe the text is large or smaller, you can just click settings and change the size. You can change the background opacity. You could change the reading height. Maybe it needs to be a little taller, and then hit OK. So that's kind of a neat, neat feature for them. Okay, now I'm going to click off that. This is handy. They can talk and type. So you may have a student with very poor dexterity. They can actually talk, and notice here that it is typing as I talk. So wherever the cursor is where it's going to type. So that's a pretty handy feature. Now, this is great. This is your translator. So let's translate that. So you highlight, select the tool, in this case, translation. So research, we have that translated. I would have to allow it, okay? Let me go back and highlight. Unfortunately, here, let's try this. This might be better to translate. Installed. So basically it just took the word. So how about cursor? Oops. Cursor. So you can highlight on a word and it would translate the word for you. Okay, watch this. This is where it gets pretty cool. So let me name or highlight all of the headings in yellow. You know what? I'm going to do words because I want to create a vocabulary word list. And maybe all of the things I want to be nouns in yellow. All of the things will be a noun in yellow. And how about all of the verbs can be in blue? Let's try that. And talk and type. Talk would be a verb, and type would also be a verb. Okay, watch how cool this is. Let's say we wanted students to read and highlight all of the words that they had difficulty with and they were unsure of. So they could do that and highlight, or they could highlight maybe verbs in one color, nouns in another, adjectives in yet another. And then when they collect all of the highlights, watch what it does. You can even select the colors you want. It comes with 4. Oh, actually, you can get even more. So what it's now doing is it's actually creating a document with all of my words highlighted in the colors, and to encourage students to grab their sources. It will give you the title and a link to that actual document, because now it puts it in its own actual document, and the person's name, okay, who created it. So I think that is quite cool, but let me show you something else that I think is pretty spectacular. Over here, if I click on vocabulary, and I like to call this the vocabulator, that's Ms. Z's own little word. So this, if I wanted all of the words I highlighted to be broken down into vocabulary, watch this. Click on that, and this is really magical. So what it's doing is it's going to create a vocabulary list with definitions and images. Okay, the list is still being created. Sorry. Okay, here it comes. How cool is that? So we have the words, we have a definition, and it's going to see if it has images. So these images are a little canned, so they're not really great, but you could actually change this. Let's say, this was kind of an unusual document. It's actually my presentation notes, but let's say we wanted students to take these vocabulary words, look them up, and instead of writing notes down, maybe we wanted them, I'm going to change the orientation of the page to give them more room. Maybe we wanted them to use this in a sentence. Use the word in a sentence. A sentence. Let me just increase that. There you go. So there are some pretty interesting options. So this is its own document, vocabulary list, and maybe for homework, the students just create a sentence for each of the words that they highlighted. All right, two more things. Voice note. Now watch this. This is really, really cool. This is such an incredibly powerful feature. This, if I wanted to make a voice note here of myself, I could say, I'm going to hit record. Great job, Billy. I love how you highlighted all of the nouns. Some of the adjectives you got were quite good. However, I think you missed about 20%. So if you could go back for homework and see if you can find that tonight, that'd be great. Okay, stop, and then the student can play it. So that's actually pretty cool. I can insert it into my document, maybe right here. We have about a minute left. Okay, there we go. So what they would do is just click on that. Great. Oh. Great job, Billy. I love how you highlight. Okay, and you know, especially now in this time of distance learning, that's kind of nice thing to offer kids too. Last thing I want to show you is the practice reading aloud. Oh, we couldn't find text to read, sorry. I forgot to highlight. Let's grab this. So what this is going to do, maybe we wanted students to read this passage. So you highlight and then click on practice reading aloud. Here's what it does. Now I could hit allow. What this does is it allows the students to review it, and when they are ready, they can record it. They can actually talk, and notice here's what it is typing as I talk. So wherever the cursor is where it's going to be. All right, cool. So now they recorded their piece of it, and now they can hit send to teacher. And it would look for the list of teachers in that student's, it actually, this is also very well integrated with Google. So it could, the student can access it via Google Classroom too. So let me check back in with you all. Let me close this out. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information smushed in into an hour. Any questions? You can unmute and just, oh, hang on. When you said there are a limited number of subscriptions in the school, I didn't, okay. Yes, Sandra, and I don't know. I just found this out last night because one of the teachers requested that I go over this, and I thought, great, let me find out. So I wrote to the tech department, and we found out that we do have licenses for the full suite of tools in Read Write for Google. However, I'm not sure how many licenses we have. I can find that out. But actually, the best person to ask would probably be Bonnie in the SPED department, because I think they actually purchased this. So they would know how many licenses. But you know what? I think this would help a lot of kids, especially with modifications or kids who are struggling with reading in general, because it is an incredibly easy to use, useful, tool that's right there at the ready. And with just a click, they can be doing so many incredible things. So any questions? Yes.
I was just starting to type and my question, but then I thought I would just unmute. Could they use the Google Read and Write on a website? For example, if they went to the Newtown Bee
Sure.
website, could they somehow have that bar at the top of their screen to read the article from the Bee to them?
I believe so. Let's do that real quick. Let's open up. Okay. All righty. Oh dear. Okay, let's see. Let's grab this. Because this is web-based, Jill, it should work. So we've highlighted section.
Edmond Town Hall, Jim, 45 Main Street canceled. Long.
Yeah.
So it does work. That's good.
Pretty nice. Sandy, I think Bonnie V. I think. I'm not even quite sure. I just heard back from Carm because I said two people actually requested this, and I really, really, really want to be able to use it, but I don't want to demonstrate it if it's not something that we don't have licensing for. So we do have licensing, Sandra, to answer your question. I just don't know for how many students. This might be for kids with modifications, or I'm not even quite sure how many, but I think it's so incredibly helpful. I, as a librarian, would even be interested in perhaps maybe getting more licenses so that more kids have access. So yes, students should have access to this. I just don't know how many might. So I'd like to find that out for sure, because how helpful would this be for them, right? It's really useful. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourselves. I feel kind of like I'm in a vacuum here, but it's great to see everybody. So please keep in mind that this workshop will be recorded along with all the others, and you can access them right on the teacher page of the Digital Resources website. If you all would please fill out the workshop evaluation form and give us some ideas for other workshops that you'd like for us to run. We have another week. If I could be of any help with anything, if you want to try this, you're playing with it over the weekend and you encounter a glitch or something, please feel free to email me or Google Meet me, and we can go over it online together. Or throughout the remainder of the year or next year over the summer, whenever, please. I'm here to help you guys, and anything I could do, please just let me know. It's great seeing you all. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Bye, guys. Take care. Good to see you all. Have a great day.